another class. In today's class, you're going to learn how to do an origami coin purse. This is a very simple tutorial, and I hope you enjoy it. Before we head on right into it, I would advise that you subscribe if you've not done that already, and you hit on the notification bell to be notified anytime a new video is uploaded. Thank you very much for watching us. If you're already subscribed, this gives us encouragement to always keep bringing you exciting videos. All right, so in today's bag making class, we're going to be doing a coin purse, like I said, and I'm going to be using this leather. It's not real leather, it is faux leather, and as well as my snap buttons. I have my stencil here, and I'm going to talk you through how to obtain this stencil quite briefly. So you're going to have to take A4 sheet, and then you're going to first fold it into equal halves and open it up and fold one end towards the center like that, and fold the other end towards the center. Okay, you're going to have to overlap it in the center here because you're going to be running a stitch over here in the middle. All right, when you've done that, we open it up and then we draw a 17 centimeter line on both sides. All right, then you come in at 5 centimeters as well on this side as well. Then you draw another line going up 6 centimeters. Okay, so 6 centimeters take you up. Forget about the rounding off of the edges, we'll do that later, but get all of those in. So 6 centimeters on the end, and then you draw another line going in 4 centimeters, then one going up this way at 2 centimeters, across that way 2 centimeters, coming down 2 centimeters, another line 4 centimeters, coming down 6 centimeters. Okay, so you'd have everything in square blocks, you get it. Then when you're done, you're going to round off this bit here, all right, and then round off the top as well, round off this corner here into a curve, and then round off the top, round off this bit like all the way through, and then that is the stencil for today's project. So I'm going to be transferring my shape onto my leather today, and you know that these faux leathers usually come in A4 size, so that makes our life quite easier. And then I'm going to trace the shape out onto our leather in front of us. To make it easy, I'm going to get some craft pegs to hold this down, pin this down, so that it'll be easier to trace around. Whilst I'm at it, I'm going to be talking to you about my other channel that is called Podcast with Sheila. So this is a podcast that is spreading positivity around the world through real life experiences. I had started this podcast in 2020 at the time of the global pandemic, and just before that time I had come out alive from a condition that was meant to take my life. Actually, I had sepsis in 2019 out of a miscarriage that was not treated properly, and that nearly claimed my life. And whilst I was in the intensive care unit, at a point where my heart rate was about to drop, I felt the incline to start a podcast when I successfully come out of that situation, to be able to share my story to encourage others. So that was what I did. I started Podcast with Sheila in April of 2020, at the time where COVID was all over the place and unfortunately taking lives, and we needed to break away from the normal. So I felt it was the right time to start a podcast. So I started a podcast sharing my own stories. Then somebody reached out to me and said they wanted to share their story as well. It was then that I opened a podcast with Sheila to the world, for everyone else who wants to share their story to come on board to share it. So Podcast with Sheila is a platform that hosts special guests, people of great repute who have enough experience to share. They know what they're talking about, they've been there, done it, and they want to share their story to encourage others, for them to know that if they were able to do it, they will, whoever is listening will also be able to do it as well. since podcast with Sheila was opened to the world, we've so far done 48 stories. With mine included, will be over 50, close to 60 episodes. So we've been running for 2 years. Thank God, it's not been easy. Sometimes the stress, getting to do an episode and put it out there, has not really been easy, but we keep going, knowing that we want to impact lives, because there's so much going on in the world today. And surprisingly, I had done a research and realized that suicide is the #1 cause of death. So the number of people dying today in our world is all caused by suicide, and it's because their mental health is affected. And this is so pathetic to know, because people are going through a lot and they are not listening to the right words or the right messages, or they are not getting the right environment to be able to know that if you're going through a situation at the moment, it doesn't mean that you should take your life, or it doesn't mean that all hope is lost. There are people who've been on the podcast and have shared stories of how they lost it all, over millions of dollars, and are still living and making it. So that is all that podcast with Sheila is about. I'll be excited for you to have a listen. And if you like it, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it with others for them to know that there's still some good out there. And if others were able to make it, surely and definitely they'll also be able to make it as well. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to set my snap button on the top. So I figured out where I want my snap button to go. I've just poked it with my anvil. I'm going to push the top bit over it here, and then put the female part on top of it. Bring my anvil and then clamp everything together. Okay, so that is beautifully set. Now you're going to figure out how we're going to stitch this together, and then we take it from there with our origami purse. So it's a very simple project, but I believe you would love it in the end. And this comes on top of it, and that is our purse. I believe you will love it in the end. Okay, so before we stitch this bit together, I have lined up some Evo-Stick glue, okay, on this bit here and on that bit there, because I know that stitching this is going to be quite a challenge, but we'll be able to get there. So I want it to dry quite a little bit before we put the parts together. Okay, so I'm bringing the parts together now. Okay, I'm going to wait for it to dry, and then we put a stitch onto it. Try and put a stitch onto it. Hopefully we'll be able to get our machine to do that. We may not be able to go all the way, but as far as the machine can get, I get it to that bit and get this to that bit as well. If I have to finish this bit off with hand stitch, I'll do that, but I'll let you know before we carry on. All right, so the next bit is to stitch this place. If you can hand stitch it, but I'm going to skip it and then move on to the next step, which is to fold this on top of it like that, and run a couple of stitches in here to hold these bits together. Okay, so I'm just doing some tacking stitches just to hold the two bits together. Okay, now we're going to figure out where to put the other part of our snap button, and as I bring the flap on top of it, I'm beginning to figure out that is going to be somewhere here. So I'm going to set it there here. First, make a hole as usual, and then push the flat bit from in out, and then set the male part on top of it, and then with my anvil press it together. Be able to get the anvil in. All right, so let's test it. is ready now. You can put some coins in here, and then let's put some cashes off over here, and let's put some complimentary cards as well in here. And that makes it a beautiful project. So we've come to the end of today's origami coin purse. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to give our video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe as well if you've not done that already. Believe me, there are beautiful projects we have in store to show on our platform, but it all takes your encouragement, your subscription, your likes, your share for us to be able to get to that bit. Until we meet again with another interesting video, take care and be good. Bye.